What's up, everybody? Disgruntled Jimmy Faluca here with even more disgruntled Frank. Frank, how's it going?
I'm disgruntled.
Frank, let me tell you something. I haven't laughed all fucking day. You and my friend Larry on our page were the only ones that got me to laugh today, and I have to say thank you because talking to you guys is like therapy. Where the only thing I'm missing is a couch. It's just I'm still I have to laugh because I just find it so funny that that they did what they did last night and they pretty much told the fans to fuck off. It's like they don't care. It's terrible. Once I'm going to show something to our audience that I ended up getting a couple weeks ago. After Bryan was eliminated from the Royal Rumble, I ended up picking up my Nintendo DS and I started playing Castlevania. And I got more entertainment out of that than I did the entire Rumble. With all due respect to Bubba Ray Dudley and Diamond Dallas Page returning, which I thought was fucking awesome.
Yeah, but that's another thing. They have to stop relying on all these nostalgia.
Oh, but Frank, the older star. But Frank, the older stars draw money. They need to come.
Not even that. Even at this stage of the game, these guys still outshine the guys in the ring. It's embarrassing almost.
Yeah, but Frank, they need to keep bringing back the old guys. That's the only way they could draw crowds.
Yeah,
it's such a double standard. Such a double standard. I guarantee you that if these guys that are around today, you plop them in the Attitude Era where there's no fucking handcuffs, they'd be much bigger than what they are now. Because I think that the handcuffs of the WWE hold them back.
I don't think 80% of them would even be in the ring during the Attitude Era.
Why not?
Because a lot of these guys aren't really that talented. A lot of guys beat players in a B era. I'm sorry.
Who do you think wouldn't have been in the ring back then?
Well, guys like the Usos, the Miz.
I think that the Miz is one of the biggest wastes of space I've ever seen in my life, and the fact that he main evented WrestleMania and this guy didn't is sickening. And for the record, I'm wearing my CM Punk shirt. That's why I made that statement, because the fact that the Miz main evented WrestleMania and CM Punk didn't, comparing how over one guy was and how over the other guy wasn't, to me, it speaks to the stupidity of the old man. That's how I'm referring him to, as the old man.
But anyway, WrestleMania this year, I wouldn't expect too much of it. It's going to be a lot of hype, a lot of glitz and glamour, but I don't think it's going to be that good. I mean, you might have one or two good matches, but I don't think it's going to be that great.
I just yawned. I predict that's how WrestleMania 31 is going to be.
and a lot of the matches are iffy. I mean, you don't know what you're going to get out of Sting.
Sting doesn't belong in the ring with anyone other than The Undertaker at this point in his career.
We don't know what you're going to get out of him. You don't know what you're going to get out of The Undertaker, no matter who's he's in the ring with, and Reigns versus Lesnar, you don't know what you're going to get out of that. That's not a guaranteed great match,
The fans are going to be solidly behind Lesnar in that one.
Cena versus Rusev?
You know what it is, Frank? It's the same thing they did last year, feeding another young talent to an already established legend.
Yeah,
and then they wonder why they can't make any new stars.
Right. Again, another monster built up for Cena to eat.
It's amazing he doesn't refuse, and he's supposed to be one of the smartest guys in that locker room, and that's one of the reasons I hate him. Rusev
will be a comedy act by April.
It's a fucking sin. And like I said, and then they wonder why they have a hard time making stars. Why do you think Bray Wyatt's been in fucking rehab since April of last year? Because he hit a wall of hustle, loyalty, and respect.
And again, see, you notice how they've been pumping him up the last few months. He kicked ass in the Royal Rumble. They're pushing him very strong, and
they're getting him ready for The Undertaker. They're getting him ready for
The Undertaker, or is he going to lose?
I'm sorry?
Is he going to go over against The Undertaker?
Absolutely.
You think so?
Absolutely.
You think he's going to go with The Undertaker on WrestleMania?
He will.
Wow.
I don't...
A new streak for The Undertaker, a losing streak?
I'll be honest with you, Frank. I've lost faith in the WWE. I don't believe they have the...
At this point, you have to make Bray Wyatt go over The Undertaker.
They almost have to, yes.
Because now the streak's over. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, well...
But then him beating The Undertaker isn't really that big of a deal, because now it comes off as The Undertaker's washed up, and that's it.
The Undertaker and Bray Wyatt do not belong in the ring with each other.
No, who wants to see that? I don't want to see that.
I have no desire to see half the matches you mentioned. Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. Yeah, I don't mind that match because I know Seth Rollins will go over. I'm going to go through every match. I'm going to go through every match we just named, and I'm going to tell you why I'm interested and why I'm not interested. The reason I'm interested in Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton is because Randy Orton will do the clean fucking job for him.
No, that'll be a great match.
Yes, it will, because Orton is a great in-ring performer. Fucking John Cena couldn't lick Randy Orton's balls when it comes to being in that ring. That's one. I have no problem with Seth Rollins versus Randy Orton. It actually makes storyline sense because who took Orton out? It was Seth Rollins and the Authority. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely.
Then you get to Cena and Rusev. Oh, because you interrupted me in my interview segment, I'm going to bury you at WrestleMania. Get the fuck out of here.
Have Rusev go over Cena.
Yes. I'd have no... If that is what the plan is, go for it. If you're just going to feed another hot heel to Cena, go fuck yourself.
And then see, you could have Rusev go up against Reigns.
Why do you think Daniel Bryan and CM Punk got over to the point that they did? Because they were able to go over on Cena. The crowd recognized that they were going to go above the glass ceiling. So they took to them a lot more than they did anyone else. Why did the crowd not take to Dolph Ziggler? Because Cena kicked his ass. Why did they not take to Cesaro? Because Cena kicked his ass. Why did they not take to Sandow until he was put into this character? Because Cena kicked his ass.
Right. I mean, you see, that's building a star. You have Rusev go over Cena.
Exactly. That's how you build a new star. You have Rusev go over. Now,
at the next pay-per-view, or you could have Rusev go against Reigns. That's a match, that'll have intrigue. Rusev is unstoppable. He just beat Cena. He's undefeated, and he's going up against Reigns, who's the next Golden Boy.
Getting into the rest of the card. Undertaker and Bray Wyatt. I have absolutely zero interest in seeing The Undertaker perform at WrestleMania unless he's going to fight Sting. That I am very adamant about. If he's not going to fight Sting, call it a career. Fuck it. He doesn't belong in the ring with anyone else except somebody at his speed. Bray Wyatt is a young, aggressive motherfucker who, if he fought The Undertaker in a real fight today, would kick the ever-loving fuck out of him. So
I don't know. I don't think Bray Wyatt's all that. I don't think he's. I don't see nothing out of him.
I see a lot in him. I think that he could be. I think he is something special.
You think so? I mean,
absolutely.
His character's unique, but I don't really see anything.
The reason you're seeing that now, Frank.
A great match.
Right, Frank. The reason you're seeing that. And I'm going to explain to you why. The reason that you feel that way about Bray Wyatt is because you already know what the WWE has confirmed, that he's only so good. Because he got beat by Cena so cleanly. And then the week after SummerSlam, what did they have Cena do? He came out and basically squashed the whole fucking Wyatt family. Made them look like they were nothing. All three of them. That's why you feel that way about him. You don't feel that way about Punk. You don't feel that way about Bryan because they went over on him. But anyway, back to the original. I have zero desire to see The Undertaker and Bray Wyatt fight each other because the match makes zero sense. Sting is the only logical opponent for The Undertaker. That settles that. Triple H and Sting, I have zero interest in seeing, because the only person that Sting should be fighting is The Undertaker, for the simple fact that it is a dream match that Sting himself has wanted for years, and I am being selfish because it's a match I've wanted for years.
Well, I think they could do that next year. And then, like you said, then you could have they could both retire next year, and that'll be it. Because I think Sting needs to get his WrestleMania, his moment in WWE, and he's not going to get that by losing to The Undertaker. So
I guess, but this year's WrestleMania is going to tank, and now I get to Roman Reigns versus Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar beat the streak. Mistake number 1. Brock Lesnar becomes the champion and is barely around. Mistake number 2. They take a guy who the crowd is not behind, and they pick him as the one to beat Brock Lesnar. Mistake number 3. As an Undertaker fan, I'm fuming over this. Because I said, after I accepted the fact that the streak was over, and it took me a while, because to me that was one of the biggest disgraces in the history of wrestling. It's right up there with the Montreal Screwjob. It's right up there with the worst of the worst things that have ever happened. I said multiple times, whoever defeats Brock Lesnar has to be someone the crowd is 100% behind. It can't be someone that the crowd is iffy on. Because then you run the risk of giving the rub to someone who beats the guy who beat the man that ended the streak. You run the risk of that being wasted. Why would you waste the heat that Brock Lesnar has? He's got Brock Lesnar, it's like, okay, Brock Lesnar has a notch in his belt that nobody else could ever have. He could always say, I'm the one that put The Undertaker away. You have someone...
a face right now.
Pretty much. Especially if he fights Roman Reigns, he'll be the babyface in that match. The fans will be behind Brock like crazy. And they have no one to blame but themselves. You basically turned Adolf Hitler into a fucking hero.
I mean, picture that. WrestleMania ends with Roman Reigns standing on the turnbuckles with the belt, getting booed.
That's basically what's going to happen. That's basically what's going to happen. Because they're not going to call an audible like they did last year. Vince McMahon is a set-in-his-ways motherfucker who doesn't give a shit about his fans. He proved it last night. Does not give a shit about the fans. And I think
We're going to the well too many times.
I'm sorry? Yeah, we're going to the well one too many times with Daniel Bryan, but John Cena can win the belt 16 times and it's perfectly okay. Ha ha!
Yeah, John Cena lives in the well.
Please, get the fuck out of here. That is the biggest pile of horse crap I've ever heard in my life. I can't believe... I didn't even know he said that. If you didn't tell me, I wouldn't have known he said that.
I read it. Who knows if that's true, but it's...
It sounds like Vince.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I'm only bringing it up.
I mean... Did they plan... Did they go into the Royal Rumble last night actually believing that this could work?
Yeah, of course. Listen, analyze it. Why do you think The Rock was there? The Rock was there as their emergency plan. No matter what happened, they knew they were going to get booed. They eliminated Brian early, so that way, the fans will forget about it by the end of the match. And then if we'll have the exclamation point at the end, and we'll have The Rock. And once everybody sees The Rock, everybody will start cheering and go crazy, and they'll cheer Roman Reigns. Roman Reigns will be approved by The Rock. No. You
notice, though, that they did the same thing with Roman Reigns that they did with Cena, and the crowd booed universally. Both of them. At WrestleMania 29 and the Royal Rumble 2015, they tried to use The Rock to put somebody else over that the crowd didn't want, and it didn't work. Didn't work. And does The Rock want this bad publicity?
No.
Can WWE afford this bad publicity with their network subscription still being in the fucking tank? Can they afford it?
Oh, like I said, that's The Rock does them a huge favor, by showing up. This guy's a movie star now. He's not a wrestler anymore. And he gets put in a position like that. That's not good.
That was
that could potentially hurt him in the pocket.
Yes, it can. What I don't understand is how it is so clearly obvious what the fans wanted, and they basically told the fans, fuck you guys, we don't need you. What did they gain from that, Frank?
But let's recap.
Was it a good business move for them to do that?
No, let's recap. They should have never did that. They should have never put Daniel Bryan in the Rumble. They shouldn't even have brought Daniel Bryan back until after the Rumble.
I agree.
Would have avoided everything. People would have been happy. Daniel Bryan's still here, and then, hey, he's back. He's back for WrestleMania. At least he's on his way back.
They teased the audience that he could possibly main event it again, and they fucking pulled the carpet out from under everybody, and it
because
ended up.
They're greedy.
And they ended up hurting their newest star.
By doing that, they manipulate the fans, and that's why the fans get outraged, because you're manipulating them.
Who deserves the blame for the outrage of the fans, in your mind?
Whoever decided to bring Daniel Bryan back early. We wouldn't be having this conversation. If he would have came back this week or next week, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
But why did they bring him back if he's not a draw?
Because he is a draw. Because they're greedy. Because they know Daniel Bryan has a lot of fans, and there'll be that many more people that'll subscribe to watch Daniel Bryan on Royal Rumble. And then once they got your money, who cares?
Well, thousands of people canceled their subscriptions last night because of what happened. I cannot remember the last time I came away from a wrestling pay-per-view this pissed off. Oh, wait a minute. I can. It was last year for the same pay-per-view. And it's over the same guy. Is there any question? I'm going to ask you a series of questions, Frank, and they're yes or no questions. Is there any question that WWE fucked up last night?
Absolutely.
Is there any... No, I'm saying, is there any question that they fucked up last night?
No, of course they did. They screwed up early.
Okay. Is there any doubt that Roman Reigns needed a little more time to find his niche?
Of course.
Okay. Is there... And here's the big one. And Mr. Salvato, I'm looking you in the eye right now. Is there any question that Daniel Bryan is the most popular guy in the WWE?
He has this almost 2 years.
So then why is this notion that only the yes chant is over still out there? Among the small minority of the trolls that exist in this world.
The yes chant now has taken a life of its own. But Daniel Bryan is responsible for that yes chant being over.
Because according to a couple people, I'm not going to name names, which I'm tempted to, because then they would look stupid, as they already do. If anybody else did that yes chant, would it be what it is?
No, they say that because even when Daniel Bryan's not on TV, the fans start chanting, they start doing the yes chant. But that just goes to show you how over Daniel Bryan is. He made that. It's like the what chant. Even when Stone Cold was off TV, after he retired, people still keep chanting what?
Is there any question that the fans are pissed?
Absolutely. Pissed. The people rioted last night.
But they rioted for a guy that's not over, Frank.
Listen, you don't have to preach to me,
And then you get the little sheep that turn around and say, "Oh, I'm embarrassed to be a wrestling fan because of how they behaved last night."
Oh my God! Listen, like I said, now they need to scramble and come up with a plan to fix this. I don't know. I think my idea is pretty good. Let this guy get the Money in the Bank briefcase, and that'll feed the fans. Hell, you can even make him lose to Sheamus in WrestleMania. Just as long as he has that briefcase, people won't care because they'll know his time is going to come.
I truly believe that if they put Daniel Bryan in the ring with Sheamus, WrestleMania will be just like tonight, only worse.
Yeah, like you said, Daniel Bryan will probably open up WrestleMania to get the crowd hot, to get the crowd chanting yes, yes, yes.
But how the hell does the guy go from main eventing WrestleMania to opening the show, and not even being anywhere near the main event,
and still being the most popular guy?
How do they do that?
I don't know, James. Well, they better think of something. That WrestleMania has potential to bomb.
Frank, I think you hit the nail right on the head, and I think that's where we're going to end this episode. I don't plan on doing, unless you believe it's necessary, which I have no problem doing so. Unless you believe it's necessary, I don't plan on doing a show for Fastlane. But if you think it's necessary and the card's pretty good, we got
to see what happens.
I really don't want to watch Raw this coming Thursday. I'd like to elect someone else to watch it for me, because I don't want to give them any ratings. Because if I'm not subscribed to the network and I still watch it on Raw, then apparently I have no right to complain.
You can read about it online.
I guess that's what I'm going to have to do. But anyways, this show I think was very good for me. Frank, I appreciate that you messaged me and asked me for it, because it's helped me get a lot of shit off my chest. I felt it was necessary. And I'll have the show posted as soon as I can. And, I guess, I'll have to read about what happens, because I ain't fucking watching the show.
Well, we'll see what happens the next coming weeks. It'll be fun to see how they scramble.
No. I think, personally, they have no one to blame but themselves. I don't think they could blame the audience for this issue. The fans have been telling them for the last year and a half who the guy is to them. It's not John Cena. It's not Randy Orton. It's not Rusev. It's not Triple H. It's not Roman Reigns. It's Daniel Bryan. And a very close second is Dolph Ziggler, because I would have had no problem with him winning.
And it's definitely not Sheamus.
Sheamus is as cold as a witch's tit. I mean, why in the hell they would put their hottest wrestler in the opening in the sixth down match at WrestleMania with Sheamus is, by God, beyond me. I can't figure it out.
Oh,
all that does,
at least it's not the pre-show.
At the very least, what this proves is that they had no plans to put Daniel Bryan in the main event last year. It proves it. Bryan said it. Punk said it. The original plan was for Daniel Bryan to wrestle Sheamus. The original plan was Batista versus Randy Orton. And how many times were me and you called idiots for thinking that it wasn't the plan from SummerSlam 2013 all the way to WrestleMania for him to win the belt? I know for a fact it wasn't part of the plan, because Daniel Bryan himself admitted it in an interview 3 weeks ago. And
yeah, Punk, well, that's the thing I heard today, that Triple H was pushing for a match with Daniel Bryan at last year's WrestleMania to go one-on-one.
And the whole CM Punk versus Triple H match was pretty much a lock by the time the championship ascension ceremony took place, if you remember.
Right, and then once Punk quit, Bryan was supposed to go up against Triple H.
Yeah, but before Punk walked out, who was Bryan slated to fight?
Sheamus.
Why? When he was clearly the most over guy in the company, like he is now. Makes zero sense.
Oh.
Well.
Yeah,
let's close the lid on this coffin, like they're probably going to do on Bryan this weekend. Because I have no doubt in my mind they don't want this guy to be over because they didn't make him. He committed the most immoral sin in the eyes of Vince.
He committed the biggest moral sin.
He committed the biggest moral sin in the eyes of Vince McMahon. Got over organically. Why that's a bad thing, I have no idea. And then they wonder why they can't make any stars. Because they don't let them get over on their own. And when they do, they get punished. That's it for me. I'm spent. I'm going to bed. Dreaming of Undertaker versus Sting. And Daniel Bryan versus Brock Lesnar. Because now that Brock is leaving, I'm never going to get that match. And it's a fucking shame. I hope that WWE loses a shit ton of money because of this. I hope that they get egg all over their face for basically ignoring their audience, and all the guys that called the fans crybabies can stick it. That's my position. They could stick it. Brother. Did you see what I did there? Oh, good old Bash at the Beach 96. If only Cena watched that tape, maybe he'd learn a little something.
Yeah.
But that's the end of that. On a serious note, I hope everyone stays safe this week with the weather. Please be careful. The MTA is closing in about 4 minutes. So I hope you didn't have someplace to be tonight, fellas, because wherever you are, you're fucking stuck. So you guys take good care, and
we'll talk in a few weeks.
We will, Frank. Yes, Frank. We will talk in a few weeks. Hopefully, me and you will talk a lot sooner than that.
Yes.
So you guys all take care, and good job, WWE. Nice. What do you think, Frank? They did such a great job last night. Good job.
Incredible.
Wonderful, lovely way to send the fans home happy.